Alright, so I just came home from watching the new Superman movie. The day is currently July 7th. Well, now it's July 11th because the movie was 2 hours and I went out like 7:30. But I'm going to go straight into it so I don't forget anything. Here are my thoughts. So the new Superman movie is made by was it James Gunn, and the previous one was made by Zack Snyder. And you definitely do sense the differences while watching the movie. Tone, characters, they are completely different, which makes sense. They are two completely different creative brains. So seeing the differences was pretty interesting. This is a spoiler review. So 3, 2, 1. I warned you. Boom. So the movie starts off with text, kind of like in a Star Wars type sense, to where it tells us 3 centuries ago metahumans were discovered. 30 years ago, Clark Kent landed. And then it's glossing over stuff. It catches you up really. I think I'm fine with it, man. Once you know superheroes origin story and it's been adapted on the big screen one time, seeing it again is just repetitive. Spider-Man broke that loop at the same time that he really. So yes, and it ends off of Clark landing near the Fortress of Solitude, and he lost a fight for the first time in his life, and I really do like how this moment it was glossed over, kind of in a sense. The text tells us for the first time in his life Superman is lost, and I kind of expected it to be a big deal, but one main thing that's going for this movie is it's trying to humanize Clark in a very interesting way. So naturally, everybody loses. We all lose every day. So in many ways, sometimes in ways that we could never even think of. So I feel like them not making that a big deal was actually a pretty good decision creatively. Let me drink some water real quick. Boom. So Clark is essentially fighting a drone of a robot. Fast forward back a little bit, and the text that the movie starts off with, it tells us about these two fictional what was it, countries. I think one was Bolivia, other one was Hanpar. Something starts with a J, but essentially one of those countries had a war or a conflict with one another, and Superman essentially stopped that country from attacking that other one and getting control over it. So it's kind of a weird thing for him throughout the movie, to where people are questioning, should he have stepped in? Who says that he has that authority? What is it? Does he think just because he's a metahuman he should be allowed to do stuff like that? So remember that whole thing. So who he lost to? He lost to a drone allegedly built by the Bolivia. No, not Bolivia. Bolivia attacked Hondenpar. So Bolivia allegedly built a drone to attack that place, and that drone was in the middle of beating him. And then we get the crypto scene of him taking him back to the fortress. The sun rays heal him, meet the robots, and then he goes back. However, he was tracked by one of Lex's lackeys. I forgot her name, even if she had one. But maybe engineer and someone. I don't remember. But that person tracks Superman back from where he landed. They find the Fortress of Solitude. Superman goes back to fight the drone. He loses the fight, but he does save a lot of people. One thing I do like is Superman and Lois's relationship. It feels very realistic, very genuine. It's a little close to home, if I could say. But yeah, I think that was a very good dynamic throughout the movie. So yes, that person tracks Clark's base down while he's out being Clark Kent and Superman. Lex goes in there. He breaks in, kills a lot of the robots, takes crypto, and we learn that Clark has this recorded log of his parents and a message that they gave him for when he went to Earth. And the first part of the message he always knew from when he was younger, but the second half, the information was damaged or something, so he never knew it. But essentially, Lex finds that footage and he cracks it, and he translates it, and The message, the second half that Clark didn't know about, it's basically was, a bad one that the humanity would not want to hear. It tells Clark to take over Earth and types of shit. So the message, it was way more cruel. Jor-El, his father, he was very ruthless in the message. So naturally, to the public, they turn against him. You get that shot from the trailer of somebody throwing a can at his head. He goes inside a building, and sorry, I'm a little tired. It's like very, very late coming back in. So he goes into a building. The Justice Gang, who consists of Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, come in to comfort him. Cause they were also doing. They were also helping save people during that fight. So yes. Once that happens, Clark goes to the fortress, finds out what happened. He finds out that Crypto is missing. He goes to confront Lex straight up, because at this point, Lex has revealed the message that his parents sent, turning people against him completely. He's going on interview shows to present the information, so Clark already has a thing out for him. Add on to the fact that he takes Crypto, and Clark didn't like that. He walked into his office, pressed him badly. However, somebody did record. It is Jimmy Olsen's ex-girlfriend, a little talking stage fling. So yeah, she records that, posted. Clark looks horrible. I'm having a very, 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 very. I can't even speak. That's how bad it is. What happens after that? What happens after that? It sounded like as if I wasn't paying attention, but I really was. I was just a little sleepy. After that, we get some humanizing scenes between Clark and Lois, I believe. Yes. There's one scene where they're in an apartment, and Lois is kind of practicing to interview him for to answer about his decisions against Borivia and Hondenpar. Sorry, if I know I got the name wrong, I apologize, but yes, Clark eventually gets a little agitated because he doesn't understand how he could be antagonized in this way. He thought that he was just doing good, saving people, stopping people from being killed, and stopping the place from being taken over. But that gets into a whole moral thing. So yeah, after that, Clark fights. Does he fight Ultraman and the girl and get captured? My brain. I'm having a very, very bad brain fart. I know I'm going to look over this, but I do not want to. I'm trying to do this in one go. I do not want to come back to this. Clark is captured by Lex. Lex creates his own parallel universe, which, what? Does that make him universal? We don't know. Makes his own parallel universe, and then, me and my cousin we had a theory that it might be the negative zone, but we don't know what James Gunn is deciding to do with that. So he is captured there, put in a cell. Once he's captured and put in a cell, this one guy who Lex purposely puts him with, he has the ability to change his to change elements. He can change his hands and body and stuff. He looks very, very ugly. I will say that. Does not look pleasing to look at, but he can change elements or create elements, something like that. And Luther has him naturally make kryptonite, and it kind of just weakens Kal-El because they're put in a cell together. So he asks him, "Damn it! Why am I messing? I'm really wow. I'm disappointed, man. I used to be able to watch superhero movies and recite everything. Man, Tom." Alright, I kind of remember some shit. I'm sorry. So, coming back a little bit, after Superman, the message is revealed about his parents and what Jor-El said, he turns himself into the police, and naturally, since they don't really have a way to take care of metahumans, naturally, the government essentially turns Clark into Lex because he confronts them, says, "Hey, I could." So yeah, Lex captures him. He has for his parallel universe, he has it. He's built a machine to where he can walk into it from LexCorp, the tower, and come out from another portal that's in Borivia. So they can just make it look like as if Superman goes here, the whole time he comes back here. The public will never know. It's hidden and wrapped undercover, amazingly. So Lex has that. The guy that Superman is in a cell with, he has a son who essentially he wants to see again. Lex is holding his son captive right across from him, which is kind of crazy. You know what Lex thought he would feel like. So he tortures Kal-El physically, mentally. He kills a guy in front of him that kind of gave him a motivating moment earlier in the film after losing his first fight. So they talk, they become friends. While this is happening, Lois is finding out information from Lex's girlfriend from the movie. Her and Jimmy Olsen have something going on, the fling I was talking about. And he convinces her through a gag that was very interesting. A little funny. It was alright. But it was very interesting. He convinces her to get some information and betray Lex, and he'll consider talking to her again. So she does that while this whole thing is going on, and she gets information on how Bolivia is actually owned by Lex. The whole war is kind of set up by him, kind of like a big publicity thing in it. But there's some monetary profit to get back with this whole thing, and they kind of explain that part fast about how he would have really benefited from this whole thing. Maybe they didn't explain it fast, but I wouldn't have liked to. I wish it was highlighted more, considering it kind of is crazy. Lex really is a evil, sadistic person who hides under that ego and his public image. So, yeah, they found out that that thing is kind of set up by Lex fully, and they go to the public with that while Kal-El is locked up. He befriends the guy he's locked up with, and the guy, elemental guy, he kind of creates a sun kind of in his cell. Superman heals from the sun. He breaks out of that cell. Oh, one thing I will say, the fight scenes of this movie are amazing. I feel like it's refreshing to see a super powered individual fight with years of your Captain Americas, your Batmans, your Spider-Mans. They're a little more, they're more finesseful, slick, more combat really. But seeing Superman, he just bow, bow, bow. And you really feel that. I love how his flight scenes are depicted with the camera so close coming around from the front. I did watch the movie in 40X, so my chair was, water, gas, not gas, but like pressurized air, water coming out my face. So yeah, it was definitely the way to watch it. It was great. After Kal-El breaks out, he gets he breaks out Krypto. While he's breaking out, Mr. Terrific and Lois were actually kind of hunting a trail kind of back to him, and they find him there. So there's this whole scene with him trying to escape. He saves the guy's baby. The moment is really, really good. He's in the middle of getting sucked into a black hole, and he uses his ice breath, and you just hear steam playing, and the cinematography was very, very good. The CGI was great. I didn't see nothing that made me think, what the fuck is that? So CGI was great. Effects were great. He escapes with Mr. Terrific, the elemental guy, his son, and Lois, and Krypto. Krypto is great throughout the movie. You really love Doggo. And there's a very special treat for the Krypto fans at the end of the movie. I guess Superman fans at the end of the movie entirely, but this kind of leans into the third. I will say that the pacing, it felt very fast, but I didn't have a complaint about it. I didn't really have a complaint about it, so everything kind of felt pretty natural. Yeah, I said that felt natural. So yeah, the escape kind of leads us into the third act. in which Lex he's pissed. You know, the public knows his secret. The public knows his ulterior motive, his agenda. Clark has escaped. Everything's going bad for him. So essentially, he tries to keep the machine on to, I think, track him, maybe? It was very, very stupid. Lex is not, for as smart as he is, he isn't the smartest guy, if that makes sense. So he keeps the machine on, and he's trying to contain it and stuff. And it essentially starts to, I've said essentially a lot. I actually realized that. It's crazy. But it starts to split the Earth open because it's a parallel universe, and it's literally splitting Metropolis in half, which is crazy because I don't think there were any casualties, but they're going to have to rebuild so much, so. This leads into the third act, and while this is happening at Metropolis, Barivia is actually attacking Hondenpar. Yo, that is not the name, but I just gotta make that the name for the video, man. They're attacking Hondenpar, and a kid comes up with a pole with a Superman flag attached to it in this moment of hope, because they're about to be gunned down. They're outnumbered, outmanned. It is not looking good for Hondenpar. Barivia is about to take over. Kid puts the flagpole up. I'm everywhere. But just to rewind, after Clark and them escape, they go to the Kent family farm. He has to go home. He kind of finds himself again. He has this really good talk with his father. So just wanted to throw that in. I didn't want to gloss over that. That was a good moment of the movie. But yeah. They're about to be attacked. At the same time, the Metropolis is being split open, so Clark has to make a decision. He goes to Metropolis and saves them, while Barivia, Guy Gardner, and Hawkgirl go to save them. So, and Element Guy, so he's kind of with them. The Justice Gang. That's what they're called, not the League or Society. The Justice Gang. So. Interesting. They fight the Barivia troops. Clark has a third act fight with Ultraman, who, if you know, is supposed to be an alternate Earth 2 Clark, but in this movie he's just a clone of him. He has a very, very good fight. Again, watching superpowered individuals really fight is always interesting, So yeah, one complaint. Not even a complaint. Yeah, it was a person they picked. I wish he used his laser eyes more. I feel like they could have used him. Oh no, his ice breath. He definitely used enough. There's one scene where he's fighting a kaiju and kind of in this position where he's holding up his foot, but there's a dog right here next to him that's not moving. So he uses it to push the dog out the way, and then he could kind of come down with the foot and reset the fight. So his ice breath he used, but I wish we saw more of the heat vision. What was that? Yeah, he has a fight with Ultraman. It's a very, very good fight. He's losing the fight at first, but he calls Crypto to Lex. No, he calls Crypto to him, and he tells Crypto to fetch, and Lex is controlling Ultraman through his headquarters. He has a room full of people and monitors and computers, and he's telling them what attacks to do. So, but he's doing it through watching Ultraman and Superman fight with cameras. So, Crypto comes in, he bites the cameras, he destroys them. So essentially, they can't go. How crazy is that, man? Spinning these flames. My apologies. However, I did nothing about that. So, Crypto is destroying cameras so Clark could fight him. Very, very powerful moment. Very, very good. The fight ends with Clark sending Ultraman into the black hole. So, I had a little theory when I saw that. Not a little. I just thought, what if he comes back as the Bizarro? Because we learn about what this Ultraman, since he's a clone, he's very, very dumb. I don't think he doesn't even say anything. I believe, kind of just and kind of just grunts and stuff. So I was wondering if he could become back as a Bizarro, because Bizarro isn't the smartest Superman character. clone is alternate Superman, not the brightest. So we'll see. And he gets sent to he goes to the black hole. What if that's a different universe or Earth or whatever? So yeah, I thought about that. What else? Movie ends. Other than 1 second. You have that third act. Damn. Yo, I hope I don't make the movie sound ass because I'm explaining it bad. I'm just explaining it in the moment because I don't want to forget anything. Watch what you got. Charlie. Charlie did a review probably. Yeah. So yeah, that's a Superman movie, man. It's pretty good. At the end, there's like 2 post-credit scenes. They kind of suck though, but one was very, 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 very good visually. It's Krypto and Clark on the moon sitting together. Another one was just a funny gag scene with Mr. Terrific and Superman trying to figure out how to fix the city's large crack, and he's like, can't do shit about that. So yeah, at the end of the movie, Supergirl comes in. One of Superman's robots tells him that his cousin's home, and she comes back. She flies down, and reminder: this isn't a new Superman. He's 3 years in, so it was interesting seeing that. That they're gonna go with that decision. So yeah, he's like, your cousin's home. She comes in, what's up, bitch? And yeah, Krypto is her dog, so. She comes in, hey, Krypto, hi, I'm back, and it's actually her dog, so that kind of explains how like their Clark and Krypto's relationship isn't as solid. It's not even the owner, so I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, man, that's the movie, man. Let me know if y'all like more of these type of videos. Till then, peace.